Hello, hello, it's Dorothy Watt, a transformational homeopath and holistic wellness advocate. And today I'm going to be talking about holiday remedies. Because when we go travelling on our holidays, it's a really special time, isn't it? We've often saved up a lot of money. We've invested a lot of time and preparation into making sure that we have a really good time because it's so precious. And the last thing we want is for those annoying niggly little holiday things that can often crop up to get in the way for us. So we really don't want the sunburn, we really don't want the travel sickness or the jet lag or the insect bites or any of these things that are really, really annoying. But which it can be quite tricky using conventional medicine to do anything about. So one of the really, really fantastic things that homeopathy can do is it works by supporting the body to come back into balance. So it will help with a lot of these things that are really us getting a bit discombobulated with the change. So either we've changed time zone and that throws us out, or we're rocking about on a boat, or there's a lot of vibration, or the plane's bumping around, or whatever it is. It can help us regain that balance and regain the stability, and then those horrible symptoms that we've got, they just recede, they go away because we don't need them anymore. So what I have done is I've used my years of research and experience with homeopathy, and I'm going to talk to you today about 4 remedies which are absolutely fantastic and worth their weight in gold to take on your holiday with you. And they've got multiple uses as well, so you can get a lot of value from them. And I think they're well worth taking with you. So we're going to start just having a quick rundown of the 4 remedies that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about arsenicum, apis. Oh, mine's gone blank. Arsenicum, arnica, apis, and cocculus. And I'll do it in that order because why not? So arsenicum is a fantastic remedy for a lot of different things, but in this instance, when we're thinking about holidays, it's your tummy bug remedy. You know, the deli belly, the queasy tummy that you often get when you go somewhere different, when the food's not quite what you're used to, or the street food just looks too inviting. And then afterwards you think, oh, maybe you were right, maybe I really shouldn't have done. Well, arsenicum is the #1 tummy bug remedy. So it's absolutely fantastic. And if you get any queasiness, any diarrhea, any vomiting, arsenicum is the first remedy to think of. And I often give it to people who are going away somewhere and are really worried about getting a jippy tummy when they're away. Because another thing that arsenicum does, as well as helping with those symptoms, it helps with this anxiety about your health. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the people who are worried that they're going to get sick are often the people who do get sick. So if you take away the worry about getting sick, maybe you're less likely actually to get sick anyway. Because the way I look at it, the way homeopaths and other holistic practitioners look at it, is what goes on in your mind influences very much what happens in your body. So if you're going to go out and about, out into the local villages, and you're thinking that the street food looks lovely but you're not daring to have it because you're worried, take some arsenicum. Take some arsenicum because that will help you feel less worried about having the street food in case you get ill. So that's two ways that you can use it. For the anxiety around possibly getting ill, and for actually getting ill if you do. It's also a really useful remedy for, I've got a tickly cough. It's going to go away in just a second. It's a really useful remedy for hay fever and for colds as well. So where the symptoms match, give it a go. So any sort of nausea, diarrhea, stomach cramps, feeling really cold inside, so cold that you want to be wrapped up really warmly, even though anyone feeling you is going to think, oh, you're really hot. And feeling worse if you're left on your own, so that you're better with some company. And even if you've got really mild symptoms, actually you're a bit concerned that you might die, or that you might be seriously ill, or really you think you ought to be checked out because it's not quite right. So arsenic, I mean, you're getting this sort of picture, you know, do you know the sort of person that I'm referring to? So in hay fever terms, it's somebody who will make sure they've got about 5 sets of their antihistamine. They've got one in the cupboard, one in the kitchen, one in the car, one in their handbag, one in their pocket, just in case. And they always know where the next one's going to be, and they will always have several pairs of sunglasses, just in case. They'll always do everything they can to help try to prevent the symptoms. So it's the same sort of real anxiety about the symptoms that you're going to get. And one symptom I haven't mentioned is a sort of exhaustion or weakness that goes with it, and that exhaustion and weakness is out of proportion to the symptoms that there are. So you're feeling really bad and really concerned about how you're feeling. Absolutely cannot be left. Have to try some arsenicum and see. You might find that it does wonders. Much better for being wrapped up, and much better for company, much better for warmth. Basically, even if you're feeling hot, to someone else touching you, because inside you're feeling freezing. And you feel worse at the sight of food, the smell of food, and while you feel better for heat, you feel worse for the cold. So you're worse when you're uncovered, you're worse for being outside, you're worse for having a cold drink. But a hot drink might be just what you need. You know, little sips of a hot drink might make you feel quite a lot better. So that's a good one to keep in mind. And I would also keep that in mind if you get some sunburn, because give it a go. So it would be sunburn where if you have a warm shower, actually it makes it feel better. And if you have a cold shower, you know, they tend to say if you burn yourself, put something cold on it. Put something cold on it, you feel much worse. If you need arsenicum, have a warm shower, put something warm on it, it feels better. So it's a bit of not how we're used to treating sunburn. But it's worth giving it a go, because it's not going to make it any worse, and it could make you feel a lot more comfortable. So that's the first remedy. And remember, so there's the fear of being poisoned, the fear of being ill, the fear of being unwell. And if you notice that, take some of the arsenicum beforehand, because it might stave off those symptoms, which are more likely to happen if that's the way you're feeling. Okay, so arsenicum, brilliant remedy. Well, they're all brilliant, that's why I've put them in. Now, if you've never heard of any other homeopathic remedy, arnica is likely to be one of the ones that you have heard of. Arnica is just absolutely amazing for bruises and bumps and the like of that. So it's going to be a multitasking remedy when you take it on holiday. So if you fall, if you trip, if your ankle swells up, you've got some arnica that you can take to help bring down the swelling and make the bruising better, take some of the pain away from that. But the reason I put it in, it's going to be a very hard working remedy, is if you're going to foreign countries, if you're flying to somewhere distant, and it needn't even be that far, because even an hour's time difference can make us feel pretty rubbish. Think about when the clocks change, they can really knock you for a bit. So arnica is a fantastic remedy for jet lag, because what it's good for, as well as the bruising, is the shock that goes with the injury and the shock that goes with changing time zone. So your body is used to going to sleep at a particular time, and suddenly that time is 3 hours later or 3 hours earlier or whatever it is, and our body's just not used to it. So it's that physical shock that the arnica is helping with, and it really does help. Lots of people have tried the arnica and found it's really helped them feel more comfortable when they've arrived and more comfortable when they got back home as well. So you can use it for the jet lag. So the particular symptoms that you'd be looking for, sort of an oversensitivity and feeling completely exhausted, absent-minded and forgetful, maybe feeling a bit sick, maybe feeling a bit nervous, wanting to be left alone, and much better for just having a lie down or being out in the cool fresh air. Worse if you land and you get straight onto doing something without giving yourself a chance to rest and a chance to recuperate. Worse for drinking alcohol, and worse after a sleep. Probably because when you wake up, you're jolting your body, aren't you, back to this new time zone when your body still actually wants to be in the old time zone. It's just that shock business, you know. But how fantastic that homeopathy has something to help your body adjust more quickly. And I'll talk at the end about the way I usually suggest taking these acute remedies. But for the jet lag, I would take it differently, because you want to take this as a prophylactic, as a preventative, to actually ease your body in, rather than waiting until your body is feeling shocked and then dragging it back. So what I would do is, when you get to the airport, I would start taking the arnica, and I'd take one every couple of hours all the way through the flight, and when you land I would carry on taking it every 2 hours, and then gradually take it less regularly. And as you start feeling better, as you start acclimatizing to your time zone, then you ease off and stop taking it. And you should find that you feel much more settled more quickly doing it this way. And some of my clients have, done their own little controlled study with people that they've been travelling with who haven't shared their love of homeopathy, so they've taken their arnica. Their travelling companions haven't, and they have felt much better than their travelling companions when they first arrived. Psychological or not, who actually cares? If you feel better, if you are able to enjoy more of your holiday, how fantastic is that? So arnica, jet lag. And then while you've got your arnica, as I said at the beginning, if you trip over, if you bruise yourself, you have got the arnica that you can take then for any bumps and any bruises, and that will help keep you up and able to function and enjoy your holiday rather than being laid low or incapacitated with a bit of a stiff leg or a bruised whatever it is that you've bashed. Anything else you might want arnica for while you're on holiday? Well, it would be worth trying it. If most places in the world have traffic going on the other side of the road from what we do in the UK, they don't all, of course. There are a few places that are the same as the UK. So if you step out into the road and forget to look, you look the UK way instead of looking the way that you need to look in the country that you're visiting, and you just get a bit of a shock because a car whizzes past or screeches to a halt, then you've got the arnica if you're feeling a bit shocked from that close encounter. So that might not be my first choice of remedy for that shock, but if that's the only remedy that you've got, if those 4 remedies are the only ones that you've got with you, go for the arnica. And that will really help. So you've got physical shock, you've got emotional shock, jet lag and bruising from that remedy. Really good value that is. Now, I'm going to talk about travel sickness now. And there's just one remedy in the kit for travel sickness. There are several that might be needed. So I'm going to tell you the symptoms that Cocculus works for. And if those aren't the right if you know what your travel sickness is and it isn't this Cocculus one, there are some others, and it would be worth looking into that more and making sure you've got the one that is going to match your symptoms, because you really do need the right remedy for your symptoms where they are so different. So Cocculus is the remedy for the sort of travel sickness where people want to be. So if I talk about a boat as an example, there tend to be 2 main types of travel sickness. There are the people who have to be out on deck and they have to have their eyes on the horizon the whole time. So not focusing on the motion, but focusing on what is staying still. That is tobacco, which isn't the remedy in this kit. So if you know you're that sort of person, you will need to get hold of some tobacco before you go. Cocculus is the type of person who wouldn't dream of going out on deck, who wants to stay inside. They want to be lying down and they want to be asleep. So it's the person who basically gets on a boat and doesn't move. They find themselves somewhere comfortable, they lie down and they sleep. They don't move, they don't eat, they just stay still, preferably with their head low. So getting really tired, so the sort of thing where you've had a long journey and then you have a boat trip, so you're a bit sleep deprived when you start, that might make the travel sickness worse. And also it could just be the motion of the car or the boat or the train or whatever it is. So the type of person who just sits down and goes to sleep and feels better for that, Cocculus is going to help them. So the sort of symptoms that you're looking at are dizziness with nausea, vomiting, cold sweat, headache that goes with it, difficulty thinking and speaking straight, so it's a bit, sort of discombobulated dizziness, and a disorientation. So all of those, they really are discombobulated feelings, aren't they? Better in a warm room, lying down or sitting down, and preferably sleeping or dozing. So much worse when they're watching the moving surroundings, worse for loss of sleep, and even the thought of eating or drinking really doesn't help. It makes it much worse, in fact. So you know, in the cafeterias in boats, the smell can waft outwards. These sorts of people are going to want to be sitting down as far from those eating places as possible, so that they don't have to have that smell, because that's going to make them feel much worse. So how can we make cocculus be a harder working remedy in that kit of 4? Well, given those symptoms that I've talked about sleep deprivation, about disorientation, about difficulty thinking, speaking straight, some of you may be thinking, well, that sounds a bit like my jet lag. Brilliant then. Take it with the arnica, and then you've got 2 strings to your bow when it comes to the jet lag. You may find, if you've got a young child who's ill, well, anyone who's ill, but a young child is more often the case, that the parent feels they have to stay up with the child when they would have gone to sleep themselves, but they have to stay up because the child isn't well and they want to watch over them. And then, having done that for a few hours, they then start to feel, you know, more of this disorientated feeling, more as if they've got jet lag themselves, just through sleep deprivation. Cocculus is really useful for that as well. It's good for if you've got any labyrinthitis, so sort of dizziness that comes on when, you know, something with your inner ear isn't quite right. So any dizziness, a bit unsteadiness, not feeling quite sure, so that's physically and mentally, cocculus is a good one to go for. So that could be another quite hard working remedy for you in that kit of 4, which is fantastic, isn't it? Because if you're only taking 4 remedies with you, it does make sense to have them work as hard as they possibly can. And the 4th remedy is apis. Apis is actually made from the sting of a honeybee. And the way homeopathic remedies are made, something like, you know, the sting from one honeybee is enough to make all of the apis in the world. So please don't feel outraged that stings are being ripped out of bees just to make a homeopathic remedy. The fact that it's from a bee sting gives you the clue that insect bites, insect stings are really, really good. Apis is really good for insect bites and stings. So particularly the ones that you get that just get really, really, really hot and red and itchy and itchy and itchy and drive you mad. So those little midge bites or mosquito bites, which just swell up and they can really drive you mad if you get a small cluster of them or get them all over you or whatever. Apis can really just calm those down. So the sorts of symptoms that we're looking at there, we've got red hot swelling, we've got sometimes if the bite's on your face, you'll get some puffiness around the eyes. you know, some real swelling there. Stinging pain, really, really bad itching, and there may be some drowsiness with it. And as I've said, the cause is going to be bee stings, midge, mosquito bites, jellyfish stings. You could try it, or allergic reactions. And I'm not talking anaphylactic reactions here, because you will have your EpiPen, or you will take, you know, emergency action for that. But if there's a sort of a small little localized allergic reaction to something, to a sting, to a bite, to some food, then Apis is likely to help, because you're going to get that puffiness and itching, the sort of the histamine reaction, and the Apis will take that down, help the swelling to go down, help control the itching, and make you feel much more comfortable. So if you got one of these itchy bites, insect bites, and it feels better if you put something cold on it, then that's a good sign that Apis would be a really good remedy for it. If it's better for you moving around, or if you feel better for moving around rather than staying still, that's also a good sign for Apis. And better being in some cool air rather than somewhere hot, so it doesn't, you know, intensify that itching. Those are all good signs that Apis will be the remedy that will help you. But again, you know, there are several remedies that you can have for stings, but if you've got 4 with you, if these are the 4 you've got, you take Apis. If you've got something that's annoying you, try it. If it's the wrong remedy, it won't make it worse. If it's the right remedy, it will make it so much better for you. So, having said what makes you feel better, what makes you feel worse is heat. So that's the heat from the weather, if it's hot outside, from a bath or a shower, from hot food. Any of those things will just make the bites feel worse. Worse for touch, and worse for lying down. So you can see that overnight those bites could really play up. Or if you think about the way I've described Apis, if you've got some sunburn that's got a bit puffy and itchy and is much worse for any heat, try the Apis, because the remedies work based on symptoms, not on labels. So it doesn't matter if it's sunburn or if it's an insect sting. If the symptoms match, the remedy is likely to help. So you've got 2 sunburn remedies that you could try there. So if it feels worse for any heat, then you try the Apis, and if it feels better for heat and worse for the cold, so that's the opposite, try some of the arsenicum. And I have found Apis so fantastic for any insect bites that I've had. Really, really, really good. I remember having one on my arm that was just, it didn't come up particularly large, but it was just there and it was just in the way, and I kept finding myself scratching it. And so I thought, oh, take some Apis. And the itch went straight away. And it was so successful that actually the itch didn't come back until the next day, and that was just from one pill. So if it's the right remedy, it can really, really help and make a huge difference to how comfortable you feel. Hence, how much enjoyment you're going to get from your holiday. So, what else can it be useful for? So I've mentioned the sunburn, also nettle rash. You know, the sort of heat rash that where you come up in a sort of like a nettle rash, isn't it? Sort of lumps and bumps that are very itchy, which are where, you know, either the sun cream blocks the pores, or your sweat blocks the pores or something else blocks the pores, and you can't sweat properly, and then you end up with this itchy hot rash. Apis could well really help that too. Any sort of swellings that you get, the sort of puffy swellings, anything that might be linked to an allergy, try Apis. And it's one of 2 remedies in this kit that could be useful for cystitis. So Apis and arsenicum are both quite good cystitis remedies. And the same will go for what I said for the others. The symptoms that it will help will be the same. So Apis, you're looking at quite a sort of a swollen feeling, and you'll have a stingy pain, and it will be much worse for heat. Whereas with the arsenicum, it's much more likely to be a burning sensation, and it will be better for heat. And with the arsenicum, you may be going to have more anxiety with it, more sort of really being worried about how ill you are and the fact that you've got something desperately wrong with you. Apis, you may be just, well, for either of them, you may be wanting to wander about rather than stay still. But it's the hot cold thing. So Apis is much better for cold, worse for heat, and arsenicum is better for heat and worse for cold. Arsenicum, remember, you want the company as well. I'm not so sure about, I don't think company is particularly a thing for Apis. I don't think it matters either way. So some hard-working remedies there that could really make a difference to your holiday. And that's quite a lot that I've talked about. What I will do now is just remind you about the way that I have found is the most successful way to take these remedies for something that comes on suddenly, something that you really want some instant relief for. So as soon as you get some symptoms, you take the first dose. You don't wait and wait till you can't stand it anymore and then take it, because then your body's got right out of balance. And what we're wanting to do is, while it's just tipping over, we want to bring you back into balance rather than having a huge job of, when you're right out of balance, getting you back in. So as soon as the symptoms start, you take the remedy that matches the symptoms best. And you should find that you get quite a rapid decrease in your symptoms. And that's, you may not instantly think, oh, it's gone. You may sort of, 30 seconds, a minute later, you might just think, oh, I haven't got that itch anymore, or I haven't got that pain anymore. Oh, that's gone. So there's the difference between a switch off and just this gradual decrease that you suddenly become aware of later. And then the annoying thing is that maybe only a couple of minutes later, maybe 5 minutes later, maybe 10 minutes later, you'll think, oh, I really thought this had gone. I thought I'd got the remedy right. It's come back again. I must have got the remedy wrong. You haven't got the remedy wrong. Your body has used up the energy that's in the remedy, and your body's saying, that was fantastic, now I need some more. So you take the first dose, your symptoms wear off. When the symptoms come back, you take the second dose straight away, and you stick to the same remedy. If the symptoms got better and then come back, you've got the right remedy, you stick with that remedy. So when you take the second dose, the symptoms will recede again, and they will recede for longer this time. So you may get if you had 10 minutes relief before, you may get 20-30 minutes relief the second time. You know, if you had only a couple of minutes first time, you might get 5 minutes the second time. May seem like a bit of a faff, but you will get there and it will be worth it. So the same will then happen again when your body uses up that second dose. After whatever period of time, your symptoms will come back again. When that happens, you've got it. You take the same remedy again. You take that third dose and your symptoms will decrease again. You'll feel better, and you'll feel better for a longer period of time this time. So you may get a couple of hours relief, or if you started off in, you know, the worst case scenario, so where you had, say, 2 minutes relief first time and then 6, you may get half an hour's relief. But how it usually happens, if you've got that really extreme case where it's not lasting long, you're going to have to keep on taking the remedies quite frequently. If you got, say, 10 minutes for the first remedy, half an hour for the second one, a couple of hours for the third one, then after that you can go down to, say, taking them 3 times a day and doing that as a regular thing, and that will just keep on top of the symptoms. But that's what you're aiming to do, is keep on top of the symptoms. And as I described with my apis when I took it for an insect bite, I didn't get my symptoms back till the next day. So I didn't need to take another one after half an hour, because the first one was still working. So play it by ear and just see how you're feeling. Go with it. The less you can use, the better, but you need to use as much as you need. It really doesn't help to skimp on it, but on the other hand, if the symptoms haven't come back, then don't take another one. Okay? And that is a tried and tested protocol. You know, a lot of people have said, oh, I haven't heard of doing it that way before. Doing that bit of pump priming, which isn't what it's going to say on the bottle or wherever you get your remedies from, I have found it works best because it really gives your body that hit of the energy that it needs straight away to prime it to start getting better. So you're doing those 3 quite rapid doses, and then you can settle down to doing it less frequently. Now, I hope that's all made perfect sense. And the jet lag, remember, I suggested starting it beforehand. So starting it when you arrive at the airport, not waiting until you get the jet lag. So this is a slightly different way of using the homeopathy. Before you start the journey, so you're helping to keep the balance before it gets unsettled. And if you know you're going to get travel sick when you go on a ferry or something, or on a plane, if you know that's going to happen, you can do the same for the travel sickness remedy. Take it in advance. So take 1 dose while you're queuing up to get on the boat, or queuing up to buy your tickets, another dose just before you get on the boat, and then take them regularly throughout the journey, probably every hour, every 2 hours. Maybe for travel sickness it's a bit more acute in its onset, so you might want to be taking them every half hour or so. Be flexible and go with what feels right for you. So if your symptoms suddenly start coming back, or you slowly start becoming aware that you're starting to feel nauseous or whatever, then take another one and then think, oh, well, that's about that length of time, so I'm going to take them every 10 minutes, or I'm going to take them every quarter of an hour, every half an hour, that sort of thing. Okay, so those 4 remedies if they work really hard for you, you've got a lot of first aid situations that you could give yourself some real support with there. And this video you've got to refer to, and you can take any notes you like from it. But if you think, oh, well, that's all very well, but actually I'd rather have that all written down for me. Well, if you'd like it written down, and if you would like the remedies in a handy box, I have these SOS kits, well, I call them my out and about kits, which are handy little boxes which have the 4 remedies that I've talked about inside. And if you would like to have those 4 remedies, if they sound as if they're going to be really useful, you know, if what I've described, think, oh, that matches up to what happened last time we went on holiday, that would be fantastic. That, together with a description of each of the 4 remedies that I've talked about, and a sort of pictorial representation of how to take the remedies, which I will just find to show you. So it's 1 sheet of A4, which you get as a PDF, and you have, these aren't the remedies I've talked about today, but you have all 4 remedies compared on 1 sheet. So how handy is that to help you? Because you're on holiday, maybe you don't want to be keeping those remedies in your head. Maybe you would actually rather just know you've got a sheet of paper to refer to. And a handy little diagram which goes through the when to take your first remedy, when to take the second, when to take the third, and then how to ease up and go into your maintenance doses. So if that sounds like the sort of thing that would be really useful for you, those out and about kits are available on my website with the downloadable PDF for you to take with you, and that's £40 for the 4 remedies and the PDF. And of course you've got me talking, which is going to be on the Facebook page and will also be on my YouTube channel, so you can always refer to that wherever you are. I hope that's been really useful, and have lovely holidays wherever it is you're going, and may homeopathy make your holidays that little bit easier and more consistently balanced and enjoyable. Bye for now.